never forget St. Clair Ferguson saying one time, "Oh, what a joy it is. It's the best thing in the world to be a Christian." And part of what he was saying was, we are considered the friends of Jesus. And what a privilege that is. So let's look at this, John chapter 11. I'm going to read verses 1 to 6, and then skip down to verses 30 to 44. And we'll wrap up our weekend together with this passage. So John 11, 1 to 6, and then 30 to 44. Here's what John writes. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. It was Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ill. And so the sisters sent to him, Jesus, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Now Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still, this is down verse 30. Now Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha had been. Verse 31. When the Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary rise quickly and go out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? And they said to him, Lord, come and see. And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, see how he loved him. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man also have kept this man from dying? And then Jesus, deeply moved again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. And Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time there will be an odor, for he has been dead 4 days. And Jesus said to her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? And so they took away the stone, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this on account of the people standing around, that they may believe that you sent me. When he had said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And the man who had died came out, his hands and feet bound with linen strips, and his face wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, unbind him and let him go. Let me pray for us, and I want to dive into this text this morning, this great verse. Jesus, I thank you for this weekend. I thank you for a chance to just sit under your word and to look at these stories from your life and think about who it is that you are. And Lord, I pray that, again, what we prayed all weekend, that you would show us something beautiful and glorious about yourself in this text. In the way that you love your friends, and the way that you not only have the power to do beautiful and healing things like raise Lazarus from the dead, but also, Lord, you have the love and willingness to meet sinners like us, sinners like Mary and Martha and Lazarus, in our places of pain, in our places of heartache, in our places of sadness. So, Lord, would you minister to us through this text this morning? Would you send your Spirit without measure to show us the beautiful things you've shown about yourself in your word? We pray these things, Lord Christ, in your name. Amen. So I went to the University of South Carolina, where I do ministry now, and I started very ambitiously as an English major, and very quickly came off of that, tried to be an education major for a while, very quickly came off of that, and then just happened to finish in psychology, so I really needed a degree. Sometimes that's how it goes. So, but in my love of English and in my love of books, I do like to read a good bit still. And one of my favorite contemporary authors is a guy named Jonathan Franzen. His breakthrough book was a book called Correction, which is still probably my top 10 books. But he had this article in the New York Times probably 5 years ago now, where he was thinking about, reflecting about, as an essay, how technology, how things like social media and iPhones have kind of inhibited or prohibited us from loving each other well. You've heard this argument. A lot of your parents have probably made this argument to you before. But, sometimes we lose something in our interactions online, and the ability to love and love well. And I want to read a part of what he says in this essay that I think is really, really interesting and profound. Here's what he said. He said, I may be overstating the case a little bit. Very probably you're sick to death of hearing social media disrespected by cranky 51-year-olds. My aim here is mainly to set up a contrast between the narcissistic tendencies of technology and the problem of actual love. My friend Alice Sebold likes to talk about getting down in the pit and loving somebody. And she has in mind the dirt that love inevitably splatters on the mirror of our self-regard. The simple fact of the matter is that trying to be perfectly likable is incompatible with loving relationships. Here's what he says. Sooner or later, for example, you're going to find yourself in a hideous, screaming fight. And you'll hear coming out of your mouth things that you yourself don't like at all. Things that shatter your self-image as a fair, kind, cool, attractive, in control, funny, likable person. Something realer than likability has come out of you. And suddenly you're having an actual life. Suddenly there's a real choice to be made, not a fake consumer choice between an Android and an iPhone, but a question. Do I love this person? And for the other person, does this person love me? And what I love about John 11 is we get to see a glimpse of Jesus actually loving, getting down in the pit and loving his friends, Mary and Martha and Lazarus. And it's this beautiful picture of Jesus to us. So first, this is the way I want to think about this passage. I want to think first about why he waits. I want to think second about why Jesus weeps. And then lastly, I want to think about why he wakes Lazarus from the dead. So first, why he waits, why he weeps, and then lastly, why he wakes Lazarus from the dead. So first, think for a second about why he waits. Now, here's what you have to understand about this text is that Jesus, with Mary and Martha and Lazarus, they're more than Facebook friends. Like, Jesus, these are his friends. He loves them. Jesus has spent time in their house. He's gone to house parties in their house. He's undoubtedly slept in Lazarus' bed when he stayed the night at those parties. He's eaten Martha's food. Mary has been at his feet and all of the grossness that can be. And part of what you have to see is that they're not just, that Jesus doesn't only love them, he also likes them. And this is huge. I'll never forget one of my first intern at Georgia Southern. I was complaining about large group and how our numbers had been dipping and, how I was just kind of complaining about life and ministry. And she stopped me, and we were in a Starbucks in Statesboro, Georgia. She said, Sammy, I know that you believe that Jesus loves you, but do you believe that Jesus actually likes you? That he enjoys you? And it was one of those moments where, if I was being honest, sometimes it's hard for me to believe. And that's where we're back to the idea of shame. But do you believe that not that Jesus doesn't just love you, that he actually likes you, that he enjoys you, that he considers you his friend? But this is why verse 6 in this text is so weird. I don't know if you caught it or not. It says that he loved them, therefore he waited 2 days longer. We would have thought it would have said he loved them, therefore he could not wait to get there to see them and meet them in their grief. But instead it says he loved them, therefore he waited. Why in the world did he wait? I think the reason he waited was because he wanted their hope to be not in what he could do for them, but to be in him himself. Jesus, his work in our lives, he refuses to let us have faith that says, Jesus, I want you to do these things for me. And instead, he wants us, he's willing to love us enough to disappoint us so that our hope will be instead not in what he can do for us, but in who he is to us, who he is for us. There's a post by a guy named John Acuff, who's one of my friends, who's written a lot of great books, and it's one of my favorite posts ever. It's called Great Sex, Flat Abs, and Jesus. And the idea was he was in this Walmart, and he was, if you're ever in the book section of a Walmart, he was looking, it's weirdly set up where you have all these men's and women's health magazines on the one side, and then you've got all these Christian inspirational books on the other side. So he noticed something really strange. He said, I noticed that basically the lines on the front covers of these fitness magazines were eerily similar to the lines on the back covers of the Christian books. So he had this quiz where he says, can you guess which one this was from? Was it from a front cover of a men's health magazine or women's health magazine, or was it from the back cover of a Christian book? Here are a couple examples. Number 8 was, uncover the proven process that will lead to a life of success and total fulfillment. Front cover of a fitness magazine, back cover of a Christian book. Number 11 was living life without limits. Front cover of a men's health magazine, back cover of a Christian book. And then here's what he went on to write, and I love what he wrote. He said this: "Do I ever go to God with a laundry list of better demands? Give me a better marriage, a better ministry, a better life, a better job, a better everything? Do I chase the blessings of God sometimes more than the presents? Do I ever treat God like a really good self-help guru that is there to meet my needs?" And he says, yes, I do. And I love what he says, "But I don't want God to simply be a new vehicle for the things I want. I want God to be what I want. I want Him to be enough." Speaking of wrestling with large group, I'll never forget a phone call. My good friend Michael Gordon did RF at Georgia Southern for 5 years. In my last couple of years, my good friend Michael Gordon was doing RF at SCAD, and we had our large groups in the same night, so we would often kind of call each other afterwards and just commiserate typically. Just, how did it go? Not that great. How was the sermon? Not that great. How are the numbers? Not that great. And I'll never forget this one night where my students, there was an Owl City John Mayer concert in Atlanta, and like half of my large group had gone to this concert. I still have a painful time when I listen to either of those artists. It brings a little tinge of sadness. I remember, calling him. He was like, "How did it go tonight?" And I was like, "It was terrible." I was like, half my large group was gone. I don't understand what's happening. My group is dwindling. And I was like, "How did it go for you?" And he was like, "Not that bad, but similar. It wasn't like I wanted it to go." And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Sammy, sometimes I think Jesus loves me too much to give me a big large group right now." And I hated him, because that's what I wanted Jesus to do. But Jesus loves me enough to disappoint me. That He wouldn't just become for me a vehicle for the things I want, but that He would be what I want. And He loves you enough to disappoint you. He loves you enough to have to go through that breakup. He loves you enough to have to go through that horrific failing of a class you thought you were going to be a doctor and you failed this thing. To change your plans, to sometimes crush your dreams. Not because He's against you, but because He wants your hope not to be in what He can do for you. He wants your hope to be in Him. So the question for us is, where does Jesus need to disappoint you? Where does Jesus need to let that dream fade because that dream really is an idol in your life? Where does He need to love you enough to disappoint you? But the good news of this is why He waits. This is why He waits 2 days and He comes late to the funeral. But He doesn't leave us here. The second thing I want you to see is why He weeps and how He enters into our suffering and sadness. So Jesus finally shows up, and this is the awkward part of this text, is what in the world is He going to say? How is He going to defend Himself for being late? What's He going to do? This is always the most awkward part of any kind of funeral or visitation. I don't know if you've been to one by now. I've been to several. I'll never forget this one just a few years ago where my fraternity brother, his dad, had suddenly died of a heart attack, and I'd driven up a couple hours to the upstate of South Carolina to go to the visitation. And it was one of those visitations that was packed, and you had to stand in line and kind of make your way along the room. And I remember standing in line and thinking, what in the world am I going to say? I haven't seen my friend probably at that point in 2 or 3 years. It's going to be so awkward because you don't want to do the pat, "I'm so sorry," but it doesn't feel unconvincing. What in the world, as I was making my way through the line, I was thinking, what in the world am I going to say? And I'll never forget making my way along the line and getting to my friend, and he just burst into tears. And we hugged for what felt like 5 minutes, and we didn't really say anything at all. And what I love about this text is Jesus does something really similar. It says Jesus wept, but I think it would actually be better to say that Jesus, when He saw the scene, He saw Mary, his friend, crying, He saw her friends crying, Jesus burst into tears. And the question is, what kind of tears was Jesus crying? And I think it's helpful to say, here's the kind of tears that they weren't. They weren't sentimental tears. He hadn't been listening to the latest Bon Iver on his way to the funeral, just crying sentimentally. They weren't even regretful tears. It wasn't like Jesus was crying because He was like, I should have been there to do something. What kind of tears were they then? Well, I think there were tears concerning 3 different things. Number one is there were tears about death. Jesus, we have to understand this passage, hates death. Death is not the circle of life. Death is not natural. Death is the enemy. One of the fascinating things that people bring out about this passage is verse 38, the word that John uses about Jesus being troubled, greatly moved and troubled. It was a word that was often used of animals when they were in heat or frustrated or flustered. It was a word that was captured a kind of anger. And this is the thing you have to remember about Jesus, is Jesus hates death. Jesus came to defeat death. Death pisses Jesus off. These are tears he's crying of anger. But they're more than that. There are also tears not just about death and his hatred of it, but they also are tears about the death of his friend. These are tears where Jesus isn't. We have to remember, Jesus is not. What I love about John 11 is it shows us a picture of Jesus that he is not indifferent to our suffering and sadness. He is not, he's not robotic. He's like, oh, there, dear humans. But Jesus is moved by our suffering and sadness and enters into it. I think a lot about this. I think some of us don't have a view of Jesus like that. I think a lot of us see Jesus as aloof and indifferent. I don't know if you're a Seinfeld person at all. The way I like to think about it is one of my favorite classic Seinfeld episodes is the Soup Nazi episode. The Soup Nazi episode where, you got to get in line, and, if you don't order it in just the right way, and just the right time, he does the no soup for you, get out of my store thing. I think sometimes that's how we see Jesus. And I think sometimes we see Jesus as, if we don't do it just right, do it just the way he wants us, he's going to banish us from his love and compassion. But you have to understand that these are not just tears of anger, but these are also tears of love. Jesus loves his friends, and he is sad about what has happened to them. So they're not just tears about death, or they're not just tears about his friend's death, but they're also tears, I think, about his own death. Part of what's really interesting about John 11 is how closely the death of Lazarus, especially the way he's buried, mirrors the death of Jesus. And when you have to think Jesus, when he's about to bring Lazarus out of the tomb, is thinking about the death that's coming for him. It's the way that Caiaphas even strangely predicts it in the end of chapter 11, where he says, is it not better for one man to die than for the people to perish? And so he's not just thinking about death and his hatred of it, he's not just thinking about the sadness of his friend's death, but he's also thinking about the emotional and spiritual suffering he's about to enter into himself and his own death. But this is the beautiful thing about Jesus, is he doesn't just make us wait so that our hope will be in him. He doesn't just love us enough to disappoint us, but he also loves us enough to weep with us. He also loves us enough to enter into the most painful parts of our stories and cry with us there. I told you there would be another Narnia illustration. She can't help herself. I'm sorry, guys. But this is actually my favorite scene in all of Narnia. It's the magician's nephew. And I don't know if you know that story. Just Diggory is the child. Diggory's mom has been dying. And all he wants for the whole book is for Aslan to come and stop his mom from dying. And to save his mom from dying. And so finally, toward the end of the book, Aslan shows up with Diggory at his mother's deathbed. And here's the conversation. Here's how it goes. Diggory says, but please, won't you do something? Can't you give me something that will cure mother? Up till then, Lewis says, he had been looking at the lion's great feet and the huge claws in them. But now in his despair, he looked up at its face. And what he saw surprised him as much as anything in his whole life. For the tawny face was bent down near his own. In wonder of wonders, great shining tears stood in the lion's eyes. They were such big, bright tears compared with Diggory's own that for a moment he felt as if the lion must really be sorrier about his mother than he was himself. A few years ago, I told you all a little bit yesterday about my dad's story. My dad's story is part of how I became a Christian. My dad, when I was, about in 6th grade, my pastor and mom sat me down and said, Sammy, we've got to tell you something about your dad. He's not just an alcoholic, he's left your mom, but he's also addicted to crack cocaine. And we put him in a rehab facility up in the upstate of South Carolina. And so obviously, you can imagine, some of you have gone through divorce, some of you have gone through maybe losing a parent to addiction that way. It was incredibly painful, and as a 12-year-old, I didn't know how to process it. And in that time, I got really, really sad, got really, really depressed, got really, really angry, all of that. Well, huge part, done a lot of counseling around it, but I'll never forget being in a Starbucks talking with a friend about that part of the story. We're in a Starbucks in Columbia, South Carolina, downtown, and it was one of those things where I was kind of sharing a little bit about my dad's story, and he just stopped me and he said, Sammy, he said, you realize if you're ever going to grow to mature, if you're ever going to become emotionally whole, part of what's going to happen is we're going to have to take 12-year-old Sammy by the hand back to that day when your dad called you, when your pastor and mom sat you down, and we're going to have to sit with 12-year-old you, and we're just going to have to say, look at you in the face and say, Sammy, Dad's not coming. It was one of those moments, I mean, I'm like crying in Starbucks, which is its own humiliating experience. You know, not just because the coffee is terrible, but because I'm facing something hard, really, really hard. But I remember it was as if the Lord said, yes, and I want to be with you and go with you here, and just weep with you. And that brought tears more. And that's the question for you and me, is where does Jesus need to take you by the hand back to a painful part of your life, and not say anything, and not do anything, but simply weep with you about the sadness and the brokenness that is this world, and is this life, and the things that have happened to us, and the things that we've done that we wish we could undo. Where does Jesus need to take you by the hand and just weep with you? So he waits because he disappoints them enough, he loves them enough to disappoint them. He weeps because he cares about your story and wants to take you back to those places in your life. But the last thing we see why he wakes Lazarus from the dead. What's interesting is most of us, Tim Keller points this out, most of us go to the grave and then cry. But Jesus cries and then goes to the grave. Why? Because he knows he can do something. He knows he's about to do something. And what he's doing is, I think for the longest time when I read texts like this, or I read about the miracles of Jesus, you know, I think I always thought it was like Jesus kind of showing up and being like, y'all, what's up? Look at my power. Check it out. This is the things I can do that you can't do. And that's not true. I mean, Jesus never does it in a douchey way, but there's a sense in which he's God. He's doing something that only God can do. But I think there's something way more happening. I think Jesus is actually giving us a foretaste of the good things that are to come. He's giving us a foretaste of the kind of healing he is bringing into the world. The way that Tolkien likes to say it is he's giving us a taste of the ways he's going to make all the sad things come untrue. That he's going to undo and reverse the curse of the fall. It's like, you know, there's a moment, I'm a huge food person. I love food. I love when my wife and I would go on these road trips where I get to pick all the food and drink, and she gets to pick all the historical things that we do. And it's a great deal. It's a great, marry someone who you can do that with. And so, you know, the moment that I love, but also one of the most awkward moments, like when we're celebrating something like an anniversary and we go to a nice dinner, and there's that moment where the waiter brings out the bottle of wine, and they do that thing where they're like, sir, would you like to taste the wine? I'm at my fakest when I'm tasting the wine, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I buy in, I'm like swirling, sniffing, oh, yes, sir, fine, sir, this is a fine bottle of wine. We will take it. But that moment, what are they doing? I mean, it's any kind of, you go to a froyo shop and get you a little cup. It's the same thing, right? You're getting a sample of what's to come. You're getting a taste of what's to come. And that's exactly what Jesus is doing here. Is he's giving us a taste. He's giving Lazarus, Lazarus is going to die again, right? But he's giving Lazarus a taste of what's promised us. I don't know if you realize, but what's promised us is a resurrection like this, where Jesus will raise us up with himself, and we will live eternally with him, not in some ethereal, overly spiritual state where none of us want to go and sing David Crowder songs forever. I don't. Or Hill songs, I mean, they're great. But I don't want to do that forever. I want to go live an embodied life where Jesus in John 21, the risen Jesus, is cooking his friends breakfast. He's taking them to Waffle House, the real Waffle House. Right? Where he's like, this is not Waffle House, it's good. Come have my breakfast, my friends. Where we're eating and playing and working and dancing, and Jesus is promised. That's a taste of what he's doing. That's what he's going to do with us. That's part of what's promised us in the new heavens and the new earth. And that's the image I love. I've got a birthday coming up in 2 weeks. And I love this image of Jesus. Here's Lazarus. He raises him. Lazarus walks out. He's totally wrapped in the linen cloths. And Jesus says, unwrap him. And the image that I love is, this is the gift. Like, I know what I want for my birthday. Like, I would like a couple of nice shirts from J. Crew. I would really like a really nice bottle of bourbon. There's some things that I want. There are things that I enjoy. This is the gift that I need, is to see what's promised us in what Jesus is doing with Lazarus. And there are 3 things that are promised us that Jonathan Edwards used to say. Number 1, in this image of Lazarus being raised around, all our bad things, Jesus promises, will work for good. That suffering and that place of sadness is not beyond Jesus redeeming it, but also using it for ministry. It's amazing to me, and part of why I believe in vulnerability so much is when you share the parts of sadness in your life, it's amazing how the Lord connects you and ministers to other people facing those same things. But in an ultimate way, when we get to the new heavens and earth, we're going to see that all our bad things have truly worked for good. But more than that, all our good things will last forever. Part of what we love about conferences like this is we get to be with our Christian friends that we love. And part of what is sad about going home is we know our summers are not going to be like that. We're going to be in jobs where we're lonely and have no Christian friends. And we're going to be doing things that are hard. We're going to get bored. And part of what's promised that all our good things like Christian fellowship will last forever. And even better than that, all our best things are yet to come. We get to be with Jesus. We get to